Welcome back to the 990 podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the 990 podcast. My name is Jay.
And I'm Ray.
There you go. Today, we're going to try something a little bit different. We are on Reddit currently, and I'm sure anybody that has been on this app, it knows about the subreddit community, AITA, aka Am I the Asshole? There's some interesting things on here. I mean, honestly, it's pretty humorous. Some of these are pretty surface level. A lot of them cut a little bit deeper. So we just thought we'd just kind of dive in and dig into some of these questions and scenarios and give our thoughts and opinions on it.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first time I've actually opened Reddit, Jay.
Yep.
Not first time, but just kind of skimming around, and I'm like, oh shucks, there's a lot of stories.
Yeah, man.
And I've seen it on other Joss listens to one, and they pulled up this subreddit, which is Am I the A-hole? And I was like, some of their opinions are like kind of different from mine. So I was like, oh shucks, maybe we should do our own takes.
Why not? Let's do it. You got one?
I got one. So let's start off with this one. And this one says, am I the a-hole for banning my sister and her boyfriend from my wedding?
Okay.
So I'm going to read it out. And of course, you know, the more info they give us, the better we can create our responses. But here we go. So my husband and I are getting married in December. My sister's boyfriend started asking if he could propose to my sister at my wedding. I obviously said no, because that's our day only. He can propose the day after my wedding, but not on my wedding. But he asked me again and again. I said no every time. The 50th time when he asked me, I said, not only can't he propose at my wedding, but he can't even come to my wedding. Then my sister started to fight over this. She knew her boyfriend wanted to propose to her at my wedding. I said to her, that's going to be my day and my husband's only. She started to call me names because I banned her boyfriend from my wedding. She said that if I'm not going to let him propose to her, then she's going to ruin my wedding dress.
Oh, man.
She even said that she's going to sneak her boyfriend because she wanted to all the family members be present on her proposal. I think that's a typo. But I said that's fine. She's also banned from my wedding now. A few days later, some family members called me to say I'm a heartless person because I broke my sister's heart. They said she cried. Feel free to interject anytime, because she wanted to be on my wedding. She wanted to see her little sister getting married. They also said that I should have just accepted her wish and let her boyfriend propose at my wedding. So Reddit, am I the a-hole?
All right. Well, did they give age of these?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right?
What
This
about
one
this?
they didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah.
Sounds like the younger sister is getting married and the older sister is the one with the boyfriend. That's what I got off of first read. I'm curious. I mean, you know, it sounds, if I hate to assume, it does sound like the sister that was potentially being proposed to. I don't know. I don't think in this scenario, I don't think that this person's the asshole for banning the sister and the boyfriend. It does sound like the one that was being potentially proposed to wasn't trying to make the day about her sister.
Yeah.
It's, you know, both you and I are married. You know, I have my own opinions on weddings in general.
Sure. Yeah.
For context, I mean, I'll be honest, Ray's wedding was a lot more grand than mine. That's for sure.
It's different.
Yeah. But, you know, I do realize that that day is meant for the couple. And I think that, you know, the idea of taking that attention away, I think it's selfish. I personally think it's selfish. I understand that, you know, to some, it might seem like a good opportunity to do something like this because maybe it's the only time they can get everybody together. So the convenience of it, you know, just having the eyes on that, but they're not looking at it from the perspective of like, hey, you're now taking the attention away from me and my husband and putting it upon yourself. What's crazy to me though, is how frequently this type of thing happens.
Right.
Yeah. I used to always think that was in the movies, but apparently it happens quite a bit where like, you know, people are just like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me to pop the question. I don't know what that's about.
That's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, have you no consideration of this person's special day?
For absolutely. It's yeah, man. I think it's a little strange. I do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean that's the yeah. So I'm always trying to come from a place of consideration, and that's like 100% not a setting that you want to propose to. And I don't know. It seems like I would need more information as to why they were so buggy about it. Like, I gotta propose. But
Right.
it seems like from this story, the boyfriend was the one the sister's boyfriend was the one that was kind of pushy about it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the sister didn't seem like it was, she didn't want to, or have the boyfriend propose to her on that day. So I don't know, but the thought of, I understand why the bride was upset. It's because if you look at it from a standpoint of the planning and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's super stressful, and for this element to be pushed in the mix, it's kind of like a curveball, and in a sense, I think the sensitivities are like heightened. So if she's upset about it already, then she'll probably get a little bit more upset with, this kind of request.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, you've done weddings. You've done a lot of weddings. As a videographer, as a photographer, and you know that everything's on a schedule, right?
Yeah.
So if we have an X amount of time to do certain things, when is this person planning to interject? Because let's just say, like, okay, were you going to do it during the reception? Were you going to do it during, the actual ceremony?
Yeah.
Or are you going to do it before everybody got there? Did
Right.
you want to use our photographer?
Right.
You know, like there's all kinds of things where
Exactly.
I think the implications there, again, if I'm just reading into this, it seems like, number one, they wanted an audience. I think that they thought it would be a good opportunity because the family's going to be there. They have probably the settings with floral background, everybody's in makeup,
Yeah, you're kinda
everybody's
using
dressed up. Yeah, I just feel like you're just riding curtails at that point,
Yeah.
kind of just jumping on, and I don't know, I don't think it's cool. I really don't.
I was gonna say that's not cool. I mean, I think on the other hand, it depends on the person too. I mean, if they're cool about
Sure.
it, I mean, obviously, but now it doesn't seem like they're cool. But
well, I mean, it makes me question the relationship that they have already, right?
Right,
I feel
yeah.
like, well, two things. A little bit of a sidetrack here, but I think it's always odd, personally, when the person being proposed to knows that they're going to be proposed to. Like
that's true. I didn't think about that.
I don't know, man. That shit's whack to me. Like, honestly, it is. Unpopular opinion, but that's whack.
Let's talk about it.
when you know that you're gonna be proposed to. I think that's the wackest thing ever. I'm a hardcore traditionalist, and I feel like if you're gonna propose to somebody, make it a surprise.
Yeah.
You can involve people. You can do it on your own. It doesn't matter, but the person that you're proposing to should not know that you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I think it takes away a lot of, for me personally, I just feel like that moment's kind of lost. It's such an important pivotal moment in your relationship when you decide that that's what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So if the other person's expecting it, then it just kind of
What's
takes
the
away some of that
point?
luster.
Yeah.
You know?
I know someone, a friend of a friend,
Someone.
that kind of planned the whole thing.
Yeah, no,
And
for
I'm
sure.
just like, wait, you're planning your own proposal? Like,
Yep.
what in the
Yep.
world?
Absolutely. So am I the asshole, ladies and gentlemen? This happens a lot, okay? Where I feel like a lot of times brides to be, before they become a fiance, will pick out their ring, and will basically hold hands and have the fiance or boyfriend in the situation, or just their partner, whatever the scenario may be, and just basically handhold their entire proposal experience. So, like, this is the ring, you have the ring now, and I'm just waiting for you to propose to me. Like, what? Like, I don't know. And I think that happens quite frequently. I know
Oh, yeah.
multiple people that's happened to, and I'm not knocking them. My personal opinion on it, again, is just one of, you're just taking away that surprise element. You're taking away some of that That anticipation, I feel like it's not just a big moment for the person being proposed to, but the person that's actually doing the proposing, like that's a moment for them as well.
Oh, yeah,
and I feel like
yeah.
when you're kind of dictating and laying it out and coordinating it and just trying to have everything set your way, it just takes away a lot of that moment for the person that's proposing.
One of the things I really don't like, Joe, is being forced into something.
Yep.
And I mean, if on my side, on the person proposing, if one of the things I absolutely hate is when you don't give me the chance to do something.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't have to tell me that because I was going to do it.
Yeah, man.
That's the worst. If you're planning to already propose and then they tell you, like, oh, man, I don't know what it is, but it makes me feel like I don't want to do it anymore. Not to that extent, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man.
I get it. It takes some of the fun away. You know, I don't know. Again, I don't sound like a caveman, but for me, I can just speak for myself. You know, like I'm a very simple person, and there are very few things in my current life that I might have 100% in control of. And I think the way that I proposed to Tristan was on my terms. I think what was funny was that the proposal was not a big deal to Tristan. As far as like the way that I proposed was never going to be like the defining moment for her. It was just going to be our wedding. That was all she really wanted. Like that she had a hand in the wedding.
Yeah.
But the way that I proposed, like she really had no opinion on it. And I think at some point she probably just kind of realized that I was going to do it when I was going to do it. I think she knew that I was very serious about the relationship and that I wanted to get married to her, but that I wasn't going to be following any type of timeline or agenda that she had put together. And she kind of just gave up on that. She didn't even push it. And I think that allowed me to surprise her. If that makes sense. Even though my proposal itself was just lame, super lame. We'll get into that another time. But
okay, I was about to say, let's get into it.
But it was funny because I think at that moment I just laid it on so thick that she just knew it was coming. But you know, at the same time, I got to do it under my terms, and I think I appreciated that she at least gave me that.
Yeah. I mean, when you, the surprise isn't a surprise if it's known.
Yeah,
and that's a huge just letdown. I think. What do you call? I was gonna say if you manage expectations, then where am I trying to go with this? I think what I'm just trying to say is you don't want to remove that element.
No, absolutely, absolutely. You know, back to the Reddit. Like I feel like I understand where maybe the boyfriend was coming from, but there's so many factors in that, right? Number one, again, we talked about them riding curtails. But how close are you to the family? Like how involved are, you know, like it sounds like they're rallying around the boyfriend and the older sister and not really thinking about it from the perspective of the one that got married. Like why should she have to sacrifice this day?
I have the right to.
And it almost sounded like she was super open to the idea of any time after that, like fair game, you know, but let me have this moment. So,
you know, I think about the what if the sister just, if assuming this is the older sister that was going to get proposed to, what if she never, I mean, what if this was a relationship that the parents or people didn't expect her to have, you know, or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's what their reasoning was, like, oh,
for sure, this
is kind of like her dream thing or you know. So I try to think it on both sides.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, that's...
If the sister knew she was being proposed to and her family kind of knew what was happening and they kind of rallied around the other sister here, it sounds like a lot of conversations were happening, and that's not fun either. You know, like I think let her have her day, let her have her moment, and then from there we can focus on what's happening with this other sister.
Yeah. I do think that they're. I think it was okay for the boyfriend to ask once.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine.
I think it's a little tone deaf,
Yeah.
you know, it might be a little bit tone deaf, but you know, ask permission.
Yeah.
To keep asking though, and then making it a thing where you're actively engaging other family members.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not cool. I don't think that's cool at all.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna be the first one. We'll close up with down.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, you're an asshole. No, you're not an asshole.
Yeah.
Your sister's an asshole. Okay, I got one here.
You got one? Okay.
All right. Am I the asshole for telling my brother that he deserves better? For context, I, 22-year-old female, and my brother Josh, 20-year-old male, had a great relationship prior to all of this happening. About 5 months ago, my brother met this girl, Emma, quote unquote, 24, on a dating app. After talking to her for a month or so, my brother tells me about her, and at first mention, despite her being older than me, I was happy for him. He seemed as if he really liked her, and I was just happy to know that he was dating after suffering a lot of awful things at the hand of his ex. As time goes on, Josh tells me more and more about Emma, and that she and him decided to make things exclusive. However, it quickly turns from good things he likes about her to him venting about how she's a little controlling and insecure. He tells me that she makes him send his location to her every hour, every day.
Yeah.
And when he's at work, if she calls him and he can't talk to anyone around him, if she calls him that he can't talk to anyone around him or in surrounding areas even for a second, or she'll get mad and start an argument or hang up. He tells me that at this point, even though they have been exclusively talking for 3 months, they had only gone on 2 dates because she keeps canceling things due to things coming up.
What?
He tells me that whenever he puts forth the effort to plan a romantic date or day when they can see each other, they live about 20 minutes apart. She tells him that his date ideas are stupid or too feminine. Wow.
Interesting.
So for 3 months straight, my brother has consistently vented to me about how awful this girl speaks to him and treats him. 2 weeks ago, my brother calls me and asks if he can come over to my house. He comes over and is visibly upset, on the verge of tears. I ask him what's going on. He tells me he planned this lake trip for him and Emma, and she just outright says that she doesn't want to go anymore the day of the trip, after reassuring him for weeks that she wanted to do this. This ends in them getting into an argument where she says, well, technically I'm single anyways, so I can do whatever I want. She then proceeds to send him a video of her kissing some random guy in a bar that night. I never really gave my brother any pushback about this relationship because I don't tend to get into other people's business. But that night I had it. I told my brother, Josh, no matter how you may view yourself, you're an amazingly sweet person who deserves someone who's going to love you and appreciate those aspects about you, not take advantage of them. Have some self-respect and drop this girl immediately. It seems as if she doesn't feel the feelings you may have for her, you deserve 100 times better. My brother just said okay, and we ended up calling it a night. The next morning, I tried to call to check on him, and to my surprise, my number has been blocked. I called my other siblings, and they said that Josh is mad at me and doesn't want to speak to me because I disrespected his girlfriend. Am I the asshole?
Bro, what is this story?
Yeah.
What in the world is this story?
What do you think, man? I mean, that was a kind of a long one, but what do you think?
I mean, we can go. Let's start off with Josh. So, from what I understand, he's 4 years younger than this person. He's 20, and the female that he was dating was 24, right?
Correct. Yes.
Is 20 old? Do you have? Should you be intelligent enough to notice things, or maybe that sounded bad? Maybe.
Yes and no. I know what you're going with this.
Yeah.
As far as being emotionally mature, there's no age attached to that, right? I feel like when it comes to relationships, it depends on your experience level with relationships. This could be his first girlfriend.
Good,
And if this is his first girlfriend, maybe he doesn't have any other examples of how a good relationship looks like, right? And if that's the case, I could kind of empathize a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because he might just feel like, this is what's normal, even though it's completely not at all.
Yeah. And that kind of, I'm kind of having like, I'm formulating a picture and an avatar of what Josh is like. And
right.
That's hard to not see some flags there. When you were mentioning the story about, sending location every hour.
Yep.
That's kind of insane.
Man.
Honestly. Yeah.
Well,
that's not normal though.
It's not.
That's not.
It's
Yeah.
not. I don't think that's normal behavior. I know, in 2023, dating apps are the preferred way. A lot of people, find relationships, and there's no problem with that. I think that it is a little odd, though, that if they've been dating for this amount of time and decide they want to be exclusive, they said 3 months, that they've only seen each other physically twice. It's
Yes.
really hard to kind of just establish a very serious relationship if you haven't spent a lot of time with that person, a
Yeah.
lot of proximity to that person. And I understand long distance, but they live 20 minutes away. It seems to me that, if he's trying to make plans and she's breaking the plans, she's not that serious about the relationship.
Yeah. What if this was a catfish?
Possibly. I mean, but he's seen her twice.
He's seen
right?
her, but
Right.
then I'm thinking like maybe this person could have hired this person to see him twice.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's kind of reaching. But
that'd be diabolical. I don't know, man. I have you ever heard of you have any friends that have been in suspect relationships that you had to be like, hey, man, I don't know about this.
I don't recall one right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking that's kind of scary to think or to see or hear this
Right.
information of
Right.
a guy that's
Right.
20 years old that doesn't see that this is most likely a bad relationship for
Yeah.
him. But again, like you said, if he doesn't have any past, models or any models that he can look to, I mean, that's where he's at. But that's kind of scary.
It is. I think that Josh and the writer of this post, they obviously have a good relationship. It sounds like they communicate quite frequently. That is that open and trust her.
Yeah.
With this opinion on the situation. This is something that he could just hold on to himself and try to internalize, and it probably would just even be worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But based off of this, and it sounds like they have a pretty good relationship and good rapport. I'll be honest with you, I mean, most times when people are looking to spare other people's feelings, they'll tell you what you want to hear, and then behind your back, they're in all the group chats with family members and friends saying like, this guy's girlfriend sucks, honestly, but I think that because they have this open and honest relationship, she was able to tell him like, hey, you deserve a lot better. It's sad that he on surface accepted that and said like, okay, and then decided that he was going to block her and choose this girl over his sister.
Do you think it was the girl that told him like, hey, you gotta block this?
I'm sure that based on this pattern of behavior, it sounds like he probably told the girlfriend, that I talked to my sister.
Yeah.
And then from there, it sounds like maybe just kind of gaslit the situation, right? To the point where, maybe turned him on his sister.
What do you think is that is causing him to stay attached to this person? Because when I think about what could be, what those options are or what the possibilities are, I mean, him being accepted by a female might be a thing. And like, it doesn't mention that this is his first girlfriend or his second,
Yeah,
but I'm wondering, what do you think it is that's causing him to?
Pattern of behavior, like, again, if this is a first relationship, maybe you got a little bit of grace there. But if this is a pattern of behavior where you just choose the wrong partners, maybe based off your personality, maybe you're very accepting, maybe you're just very passive, maybe you don't have enough self-respect to realize that you're being walked on. There's a few scenarios with that, right? Doesn't sound like Josh thinks very highly of himself, unfortunately, if he's gonna subject himself to this. I like these posts because you kind of have to formulate the backstory yourself, and of course you're not gonna know the full context here, but sounds to me like this is a relationship that Josh sees a future with. I don't know, maybe she's super hot or something. I hate to say it, maybe maybe he met up with her, I don't know, maybe she gave him some sex, whatever the case may be, got him sprung, and now he just he's all about her, and it doesn't sound like she reciprocates that feeling. We're kind of glossing over the fact that she sent him a video of her kissing another dude. Like, that's like, I would be like, "What's your location right now?"
No, yeah. When you read that, I was like, "What in the world is going on, man?" And this is a thing.
Again, right? I think I'm far removed from a lot of this because I never went through the dating app phase.
Sure.
You know, I for better or worse, I think a lot of the relationships I've been in, it had to happen organically. There was a lot of conversation involved. A lot of it was like, "Oh, introduce me to your friend," or like you meet through friends of friends, or very, very rarely was there just meeting a stranger and then kind of just developing a rapport that way. And it can happen. I do realize for a lot of people, the dating apps are the wave. That's the way that, they meet people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for me, again, I am kind of removed from that process. So sometimes it blows me away what you can share to a stranger right off the bat. But yeah, it just seems like for whatever reason, he just thought that this was a lot more serious. And she treated him as if this was something exclusive, but obviously he didn't know what she was doing on her end. Doesn't sound like she was really taking it too seriously if she's out doing her thing, right? Partying, doing her thing.
When he when he came to the sister, on the verge of crying, and that's what they said.
Yeah.
And then I partnered that with what she said about the date where she mentioned, "Oh, it's too feminine."
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of wonder now what type of person Josh is, or his type of love language is. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not the right fit, and this is gonna end not so good.
Oh no, yeah, the red flags are there. I don't know. I hope in this scenario, Josh wise up, drops the girl, and reconnects with his sister. His sister seems to be coming from a good place.
Yeah,
wanting what's best for the brother. And I don't think that there are times where you hear about friends and family sabotaging relationships. It doesn't sound like that at all. I think she's just kind of reading the cards as it is and realizing that this is not going to be a good end to the situation. So
I wonder for their family dynamic, how. Like the sister seems like she has a lot more, or not level-headed, but she's a lot more aware of the situation, right?
Right.
I wonder where her influences are compared to his influences, because I'm sure they lived I'm not sure, but assuming they lived in the same household with the same influences, and of course that there's there could be major differences in what they're into and where they get their information from.
For sure.
But now that I say that out loud. Yeah, maybe he kind of had his own thing going on. Like maybe he was not a loner, just did things on his own, maybe, or kind of stayed to his own space, and maybe wasn't not aware but exposed to different types of situations. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So Josh, if you're listening, bro, we just want to let you know that there's someone out there for you that appreciates your dates.
Yeah, forgive your sister. She was definitely not in the wrong here.
Yeah, unblock her. We got one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, and this one is one we saw together. I'll read it out loud. Am I the a-hole for not letting my partner use my suitcase? I'm being petty at worst, in my opinion, but I think calling me names was uncalled for. My partner sprung a random trip to his parents on me, didn't even ask if I wanted to go. He knew I had the time off and booked all his tickets. This annoyed me, as this is exactly what happened last time. But at least this time I have 2 days notice and no plans I can't cancel. I remembered how unprepared I was last time. I had no travel cases and tried to fit a week's worth of clothing into 2 backpacks. This time I went online and found an overhead suitcase. Before I placed my order, I asked my partner if he wanted one too. And he just laughed, saying he doesn't need to take much. His mother will wash the clothes he wears. Fast forward to just now, and I've finished packing. I walk out the room for a second and come back to my partner removing some things from my case for his own. I asked him what he was doing, and he just replied he couldn't fit everything in his.
Yeah.
Since I overpack, he's going to use some of the space in the case. I remind him that he didn't want a suitcase, that he didn't need one, and that I need everything I packed. To this, he just laughed, throwing my jeans to the floor. I walked over and shut the case, waited for him to back away, and handed him back his shoes and clothes. While I replaced and folded my own, he began calling me a bish and all other names, calling me a neat freak. I will admit he asked nicely if I could have found. Sorry, I will admit he asked nicely I could have found some room. It was just the assumption he would use it when he mocked me for buying it. Am I the a-hole? The first thing I realized was that with Joss and myself, Joss does need a lot more space for her being a female. That's just for our relationship. But they just have more things. Straightener, jeans, things. I think it depends on the type of person you are, because she seems like she's coming in prepared. She sounds like she like she knows what to bring in terms of like a trip and stuff like that. And so like with Joss, I mean, that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, they do have more. And it's funny because that's kind of how I would respond. Like, yeah, no, I don't need much.
Interesting.
But what's your take on this?
That's a good one. My take on it is tough love. No, you cannot use my suitcase. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, pack less, dude. I mean, honestly, I'm sorry. I got my stuff all packed up.
Yeah.
We had time to prepare for this.
Exactly.
I offered to get you one. You decided that you didn't need it. And now you decide you do need it.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know. And my wife's going to fight me on that, of course. But I mean, honestly, I think in that scenario, you need to just look at like what the events that happened before all of that. You had every opportunity.
Yeah.
It's funny. They're real ambiguous. I'm not sure. This sounds like two dudes, to be honest with you. It might be. It might be. But,
could be.
It sounded like the person, gave that out as far as like, hey, do you want me to get your suitcase? And then the partner said no. And yeah, I would in that situation, I don't think they're being the asshole, but I think I would have sided as well and just been like, no, you can't. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, use your backpack. You said that you could fit everything in your backpack.
But I mean, like, how hard is it to go, I don't know, Walmart or something?
Yeah,
Come on,
go to
Blake.
Ross, go to TJ Maxx, buy a carry-on, or, if not, like, it's just pack less. I mean, the funny thing is that this person's partner said that my mom can do my laundry. So, number one, you sound like a child. Number two, you know what I mean? Like, that just goes to show that you don't need to bring a lot of stuff if you have active laundry service to this. It sounds like they're visiting parents or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, tough shit. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. This is weird. When I seen the thing, I was like, what are you talking about? Asking to use my suitcase. What do you call it? I every time I read these like scenarios, I'm always trying to formulate an avatar of who this person is, and it comes from, I'm just so curious about people, and sometimes when I see people, how they act and what they do, I'm always like, man, I want to see a movie about this person's life and where it all changed.
It sounds like a scene in a movie. Like, it could totally be written for comedy, and I totally get where you're coming from, where it just turns into like a really, I mean, or you ever watch Seinfeld? This sounds like a Seinfeld episode.
No.
No, like where it's just, you find comedy in really normal, ordained, like ordinary situations, right? Where, I can see. The thing is, if you're bickering about this, I feel like you probably bicker about quite a bit of other stuff too.
That's what it is.
So there might be some underlying issues there.
Yeah.
And then, call me shallow. I mean, the partner could obviously flex on that. It could be something where they're like, okay, cool. But, you're going to have to buy a suitcase next time or whatever the case be.
Yeah.
But I think if you were to just if you had like a track record of this where they chastise your decisions and then they have to renege on that just because now they realize they're in the wrong. He didn't even apologize though. It didn't sound like that person apologized. They were just assuming that they could just squeeze their stuff in.
Yeah.
Nah, forget that, man.
Yeah, no. Do you think that this could lead up to something devastating in terms of the relationship?
Potentially. I mean, if you're fighting about stuff like, so again, right? I'm saying don't allow that to happen. I mean, if you put a hard line down and then this becomes a thing, yeah, potentially that could just show that there are more issues there. But also sometimes you gotta just throw it on the table and just be like, nah, not happening. I mean, I don't know.
There's a portion in there where when he started calling her a bish,
yeah,
and a neat freak.
Did he say bish?
No, that's me.
I was like, wait, what's up?
Yeah. That's just me saying things that I don't usually say.
Yeah.
But anyway, and calling her a neat freak.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that's a trigger word or trigger to.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not cool when you.
No, man. You're gonna have personality traits that there's this contractual agreement that you enter in when you become a couple, right?
Yeah.
And people are gonna have their quirks. And this could be one of them. So if somebody, if it's important, okay. So if my personal situation, if this were me, I am the same way. Like I pack very meticulously, everything's in order, and Tristan would just dump the drawer into the suitcase. You know what I mean? I don't like that. It's not that, but that's how she packs versus the way I pack. It's like I know where everything is, everything has a place, and
Sure.
I'm able to fit a lot of stuff in a small bag because I'm really careful with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, maybe it might be different depending if this is a one-time thing. Sure. If they did this every time they were gonna take a trip, nah, you gotta put your foot down someplace.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking, okay, how did these guys meet? Like, was he always like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, or she, I don't know. But if they, it's hard to imagine that someone would be with someone like this off the bat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is kind of like a gradual thing, gradual downfall.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, you're right. This could be towards the end. Maybe at this point they're just fighting, right?
Yeah.
Like why are you being like that?
Right.
Why are you being a bish?
Well, when it comes to you get comfortable with your partner, right?
Yes.
And then sometimes there's playful kind of, there's playfulness, and then there's like bickering. But then I think about little things like how this scenario plays out. It kind of seems dangerous at the very least.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that's kind of...
It depends on the dynamics of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I shared this before. Tristan and I, we bicker all the time. We don't even fight. We love bickering. We love it. It's like it is our unwritten love language. Where, like we bag on each other. It's funny to us.
Yeah.
We're both in on the joke.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say, as far as Tristan loves making other people around us feel uncomfortable at times because they're not in on the joke. So yeah, sometimes people are like, I don't know if this is gonna last. I'm like, no, we're good. Trust me. But what's fun is that she can dish it, she can take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same. So, in that scenario, if this was like the type of relationship they had, not that big of a deal for them to say yes or no. It could go either way. Constantly fighting about luggage and packing, then that's a red flag in itself. Like if that's something where it's kind of a hinge point, and you realize this is going to become a bigger thing. Plus, you're going on a trip. You imagine having the fight right before you jump on a flight
rough.
or get like, and it's not going to be a fun flight. You can carry that over to your parents' house. It's going to just be weird energy. I wouldn't want to be in that scenario.
You got to start off with the right foot.
For sure.
Buy another suitcase, bro.
Hey, man. Yeah. Carry-ons aren't that expensive.
Yeah. Well, this is a little different from what we've normally put out.
Yeah, no, this is fun. Reddit, it's got a wealth of information.
Oh, yeah.
There's some pretty entertaining things. Some of this stuff, I mean, it's wild what people go through, but also wildly relatable too. I feel like there are things where you might change names, places, and stuff, but you can kind of fill in the blank and be like, oh, actually, that's happened to
me.
That's happened to a friend of mine.
So Yeah, so I think in the future we'll probably hit some more up.
Most definitely.
But for this one, we're going to close it out. So thanks for hanging out, guys. If you've been with us this long, yeah, we appreciate you guys. So
There you go. Like and subscribe.
hey, okay, shoots.